Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the AI Monetization Podcast. I'm Binny, the co-founder of ProjectPro. This is where we speak with people in the forefront of enterprise adoption inside enterprises to figure out what kind of outcomes they are seeing with AI. Today, I'm thrilled to have with us none other than Julie Stone. Julie is Group Vice President and Chief Learning Officer at TTEC. Now, TTEC is the world leader in crafting customized customer experiences for enterprises with over 50,000 employees whose training and skilling and coaching Julie leads. Earlier, Julie was Senior Director, Learning and Performance Support at eBay, where she spent many years. Previously, Vice President, L&D and Leadership Development at Prudential Financial. And before that, at the Hartford Financial Services Group. Julie, thank you so much for taking time to do this.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Julie, to begin with, you've had a ton of experience mapping learning outcomes to a company's business strategy and operational plan. What does that look like in practice? Like, what is the process you go through? If there's some way you could use an example illustrated, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, thank you for the question. You always have to start with what the primary success measures are for the company overall. And that's going to vary by industry. It's going to vary by business, but that's the starting point. What are the ultimate outcomes and success measures that are important for that company? And so you work your way backward from there. So most companies are going to have, net revenues and overall profitability. That's a key metric. What are the other operational metrics that are going to be in place? Are there growth metrics that you need to consider? And then as you work your way backward, what are the skills that are required across the workforce to be able to deliver those results? How are those skills being deployed in the current state? Are they able to achieve those metrics? And then based on that analysis, identifying what opportunities you have. Are there gaps that you need to address? Do you have a really strong set of skills? Are they deployed in the right places? And so it's really looking at the full talent ecosystem, of which learning and skills is only one part.
Makes sense. And, in your career in learning and kind of coaching, right? You have been through some significant technological waves. Like you've seen how internet affected learning, then you saw how mobile and cloud affected learning, and now you're kind of leading the initiative on how AI is affecting learning. Does this feel truly transformational compared to the previous waves you've been through? Or does it feel similar? I mean, what's changed? What's not changed?
It absolutely feels different and transformational at a whole nother level. If we harness the potential and really leverage the full capability. And look, we're still early in. And so as I've been out, at conferences, meeting my peers, delivering presentations, most of what I'm hearing from folks is there's still an early exploration. You'll always have some folks who are out kind of on the cutting edge, who are implementing already, who are kind of setting the bar. But most companies are still trying to understand, what do we do with this? And where do we bring it into our organizations? When you think about learning models, and somebody like Josh Bersin, for example, he and his organization do a really wonderful job of progressing learning maturity models and, setting the vision for what's possible. That said, most companies, and I say this, supporting, over 200 of the world's, global brands. Most companies' learning departments are still stuck doing training the way it's been done for 40 or 50 years. So what do I mean when I say that?
Mm.
I think probably everybody will be able to relate to death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Whether it's in an actual physical classroom or you're in a virtual session now, it's still led by PowerPoint. It's still led by a facilitator or a trainer who is using a facilitator guide to deliver the same content in the same way over and over and over again. It's really a model that is based on, sort of mass production, where we sort of gear it towards the average, or worse, we gear it towards the lowest common denominator, and we hope that is good enough to meet the needs of the individuals. Well, average fits nobody.
Right.
And so you're going to have people who it's woefully too slow and they've checked out. You're going to have people who it's way too fast and they can't keep up. There's no average in there, but yet this is what most companies are still doing. And despite, through all of these technological advances that we've had.
Fascinating. You made some fantastic points there. I just want to unpack a couple of things. So the first point you made was, as you meet people in other enterprises, people are figuring out what to do with this magical technology that's in their hands right now. So I'm curious to understand, what are the roadblocks there? Meaning, I assume everybody is familiar with ChatGPT, so they've seen that use case of it.
Yeah.
There is the market is flooded with all kinds of SaaS tools and all of that stuff out there. What is the gap between adopting them? Is it internal change management? Is it budgets? Where is the roadblocks?
I mean, there's many obstacles that need to be overcome. I'll just name a couple that are top of mind. I'm sure it won't be an exhaustive list. The first, when you're thinking about the tools, what is the company making available to its employees, and what are the guardrails? So, most companies will have adopted or made some decisions around, we're going to go with Copilot, we're going to go with ChatGPT, we're going to go with this set of tools that are sanctioned and approved. And if it's not in that list, they're not sanctioned and approved. Looking at, making sure we're maintaining privacy, confidentiality, making sure that company content isn't getting out into the ether. Do employees know what tools they have access to? Have those tools been provided broadly, or have they been given to only a subset of folks? From there, what are the company's expectations around what people do with them? It's one thing to, use it to record meetings and get meeting minutes, or to write emails, or to, identify your personal tasks. That's great. That's the place to start exploring. But beyond that, if you want to have more significant impact around work that can be automated, work that can be augmented, you need to have a strategic plan that's guided by data, and you need to know who you expect to automate or augment. By the way, where the technology is going, it's not going to be a subset of your IT group who does all the building of bots and automation and so on. That's going to be distributed and democratized. But companies need to decide, at what level? Is that managers, frontline supervisors, individual contributors? And how do we equip them to be able to do that? How does that role evolve? And so that's a lot. Right there, before you even get to how do we build knowledge and skills, is where do we expect and want to see this impact? There are a lot of external providers now who are supporting companies with sort of creating what you might have heard called a work ontology. So the work ontology helps companies identify what is the set of work that our employees perform at the task and subtask level. Then what work is ready for automation or augmentation? How mature is the AI capability in doing that? How much of that work do you do? And so it sort of gives a blueprint to a company on where you should start. But in absence of that, it's going to be more organic, but potentially haphazard.
Makes sense. I think it was Bill Gates or someone who said that we all overestimate what is going to happen in the short term, but underestimate what's going to happen in the long term. So do you think this is one of those things where in a few quarters, we will just see a lot of these things ironed out, and that's kind of what you think is going to happen?
It's a great comment because going back to what I said before,
Uh,
there's incredible capabilities within the field of learning and development to
yeah.
have advanced how
Hmm.
we're able to personalize, how we're able to change that learning experience, and
Yeah.
most companies haven't done it yet. And
Yeah.
so, you talk about, oh my gosh, in 6 months, it's going to be a completely different landscape.
Yeah.
The potential is there,
Yeah.
but implementing it, having a plan to implement it, the change management,
Yeah.
that's the hard part. And so
Right.
I would agree with that statement that companies aren't going to be able to implement it as quickly unless they're super focused there. They're prioritizing innovation and testing, and they're out in front. Otherwise, most are still going to be grappling with, what do we do with this? And
Yeah.
where can we advance it?
Mm. Makes sense. You've had a lot of experience with, the three areas of coaching, skilling, and knowledge management as well, right?
Yeah.
Across
Yeah.
eBay and Prudential, all of these things.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
for the uninitiated into L&D, all of those things tend to sound very similar: coaching, skilling, knowledge management. But could you help us understand, A, what is the difference? And
Yeah.
B, in the world of AI, it seems as if these three things are beginning to come together. What
Yeah.
do you think that world is going to look like?
Yeah, they absolutely are converging.
Hmm.
And so when we talk about learning, first of all, we define that as, my definition is just broadly
Sure.
as helping learners acquire the knowledge and then um, practical skills,
Hmm.
applying that knowledge
Yeah.
in a particular area to get a particular result.
Hmm.
So, traditionally,
Hmm.
this is, listening to an expert in a classroom type environment in a webinar who is disseminating knowledge. Often,
Yeah.
by the way, you don't
Hmm.
have the practical application piece of it in place,
Hmm.
especially in corporate environments. But
Hmm.
that's really crucial. Knowledge
Hmm.
management is how you provide knowledge to employees to assist them in completing the work that they do day to day.
Yeah.
That's huge, right?
Hmm.
Because and these systems have been in place for years and years and years. I mean, it
Yeah.
started with written down standard operating procedures, passed around on paper and in giant binders. All of
Yeah.
that still exists. It's been
Hmm.
taken, online. And
Hmm.
now where it's
Hmm.
going is how do we leverage AI to listen in
Hmm.
on maybe a conversation, to be monitoring your work tasks and give you that knowledge without you even having to ask, right? So if you think about a customer service representative
Hmm.
who is, helping a customer solve a problem,
Hmm.
up until recent years, they
Hmm.
would need to actually go search in a knowledge base. And you'll hear them say, do you mind if I put you on hold while I go
Yeah.
research that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're, letting their fingers do the walking, trying to find answers in what is typically very complex knowledge bases.
Yeah.
Um, Now leveraging AI,
Hmm.
AI can listen in
Hmm.
and proactively bring that knowledge and those answers directly to the agent.
Hmm.
So that's knowledge management. And then coaching is, how do you provide feedback
Hmm.
on performance overall and on specific aspects of performance to help somebody
Hmm.
become proficient and
Hmm.
then really, I like to say, achieve their full potential. How do they take
Yeah.
their performance from
Hmm.
proficiency and beyond? How do you help
Hmm.
them grow their career in advance,
Hmm.
providing fulfillment for themselves and value to the company?
Hmm. Those
How
are
they're
some good.
converging, right?
Yeah.
I just want to address that piece
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
massive consolidation and convergence happening
Hmm.
with external providers in this space. So coaching, learning, knowledge management, sort of performance management type applications, these are all coming together. You think about content providers, major ones out in the industry, they're all adding AI coaches. Where you can go in as a learner and get one-on-one support. Not every AI coach is created equal. So that's one of the challenges for companies, right? It's like, oh my God, they're popping up every day like dandelions. How do I compare? How do I know which one to invest in? And so what we have invested in TTEC and in my organization is I have a small group of mighty learning science and technology professionals. And all they do every day is assess the new technology providers in the field and put them head to head on a number of different features so that we can say, all right, what is the best AI coach out there? And how do they differentiate?
Makes a lot of sense, and those are some very powerful use cases that you mentioned. So looks like the convergence is happening by bringing together all of this in at the point of work, in the flow of work, personalized, not just in the flow of work, really. That's kind of how it comes together.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And that's important, right? Because up until recently, investing in building your skills was always something that was extra. So you had to carve out time to attend a webinar, to go to a training classroom. You had to carve out time for a one-on-one, maybe with your manager, to get direct feedback or coaching. But it had to be an additional thing that you scheduled and made time for. And with all the best intent, super hard to do. By the way, I was just being reminded by the head learning scientist on my team how much our attention spans have shrunk. Now, we all know this intuitively, but in the early 2000s, it was somewhere akin to 2 minutes, and now we're down to 40 seconds attention span.
Easy.
So, the ability to bring something in the flow of work that's going to give you some immediate feedback, coaching, and support while you are preparing for or in that activity is incredible. So here's an example. If I need to have a difficult performance discussion with one of my direct reports, maybe they're not showing up to work on time, right? Repeatedly, or whatever the case may be. And I'm a new manager, and I'm not exactly sure how to have that conversation. With a great AI coach, I can do a practice session with that coach and get feedback on how I'm doing in 2-3 minutes time. And give me some confidence that says, oh yeah, my instincts were good here, here, and here, but I'm going to also tweak it and add in these other pieces. Now I feel ready to go have that conversation. And, some of the research is showing that, when you provide that AI coaching to individuals, particularly younger generations, they really engage. It's a way to do it in a more stress-free way. You're not going to be judged. You're not going to get it wrong. You're not going to be made fun of. You can practice there without judgment.
Right. No, that's two very interesting insights. One was this whole idea that one of the challenges that we all face with learning is that people have to carve out time, like you said, and people are always like, I need to finish all of this work. Where am I going to find time to go and learn on top of this? But when you make it in the flow of work, it's just seamless to help their productivity. That's a pretty powerful insight. And then, the final thing you said as well. So taking a tangent here, Julie, which is, you spoke about how you're passionate just empowering people, right? AI or not AI, what are the ingredients of empowering a human? What goes into that?
There's 3 critical elements that that I really focus on and that I promulgate within the organizations that I'm working in. And this is based on research that I and a colleague conducted both externally and within companies. And it's, first of all, people need to feel valued. And so they need to feel intrinsically valued for who they are as an individual, not as some idealized, person that they think that they need to be. This gets into, people feeling like they can be their true selves, and with all of the strengths and kind of the weaknesses that brings, right? When you feel valued for what you bring to the table and what you're able to contribute, that creates the possibility to feel like you belong and that you're part of a group. One of the key themes that is being talked about right now is with the increased use of AI, what is becoming premium value is human connection, authenticity. And I absolutely believe that's true. And so, one of the core components of belonging is that connection. You need to feel connected. You need to feel a part of a group and whatever that looks like. And then the third thing is you need to feel like you can grow. You need to feel like you're at a place where you've got the support and you've got people in your corner that are going to help you not only master your current role, but that are going to support you in, wherever that career path is going to take you. So value, belonging, and growth. And they're all synergistic with each other. So I'm talking about this in workplaces, but this applies to anything that you want to do in your personal lives, your family lives, what have you. So where do you get those things? I don't believe that you can get those without human connection.
Fair point. Yeah. You made an earlier point about how I wrote this down here, which is average fits nobody, and content is geared towards the lowest common denominator, right? So with AI, obviously, it's possible that rather than one central repository of standardized content is able to be generated at the point of need in response to a dynamic individual who wants what they need at the point of need. So do you see just fundamentally instruction design and, reusing tools like Articulate and Adobe Captivate, all of that significantly changing to something more rapidly generated at the point of need?
I absolutely see the learning experience changing and the tools that are used also changing. So a couple of points that I would make there. The vision that we are moving towards and one that I started at eBay is implementing flipped learning in the corporate workplace environment. So this is a concept that many people have heard of. Sal Khan with Khan Academy has implemented it and speaks about it in his book. A lot of parents, their children may have gone through a flipped learning experience, particularly for math education. And the concept is this, that instead of, the homework that and the learning experience starts with self-directed learning, that is introduction to knowledge and concepts. And then when you are in that classroom environment with an expert, that's where you get practice in application and coaching and feedback on where you're understanding and applying correctly and where you are not. So this typically is not implemented in the workplace environment, or in many classrooms that our children go through. They get introduced to a concept, and then they're sent home to try and apply it on their own with no help. And that's where people are going to get stuck. And so we are focused on shifting this ultimately at TTEC. So what that does is for the self-directed piece, which is digital learning, e-learning, it could be collaborative social learning, but you are allowing the learner to progress at their own pace. So if I already have concepts, understand them fully, then I should be able to skip over those and go directly to the concepts that are new to me with assessments to help me understand along the way and to help the AI, identify what do I need to deliver to them next. Then when I am with that expert facilitator in a shortened amount of classroom time, I'm just practicing. So, the learning science tells us that deliberate practice on specifically the skills that are needed, that's the linchpin to learning and proficiency being developed. And so that's what we're focused on moving towards. In terms of the tools and the technology that instructional designers are using, this is progressing super fast within my organization. And I have about 100 instructional designers and multimedia developers. We are shifting the instructional design model to a learning experience design model. We've rebuilt the skills and competencies that go along with that. And we have heavily leveraged AI in that design process. So as an example, the learning design, which is building out what does a curriculum look like for, what is the agenda? How do the topics build on each other? What are the learning activities and assessments and reinforcements that go into play? That was the work that instructional designers did manually. Today, none of ours are done manually. We leverage the combination of an external technology plus our own developed learning prompts based on learning science principles to build an entire end-to-end curriculum for us. The whole design is built by AI and delivered to the designer, who quality checks it with SMEs and then goes right into development, again, using AI tools. So the whole design piece we have automated. We've done that through a product we call our Curriculum Wizard. We also have a coaching wizard that builds coaching skills, taxonomies. And in a matter of weeks, we're delivering our Discovery Wizard, which allows us to intake a whole curriculum, assess it based on learning principles, and identify where we can make improvements to create a better learning experience and to drive faster time to proficiency.
Fantastic. I mean, those are very impressive use cases. I mean, all across the ADDIE spectrum of development, you seem to have gone and launched AI agents across that spectrum. Very interesting.
We're working on it, right? We're farther along on the design piece than we are on the delivery and facilitation piece because we need our clients to come along on the journey with us. And so that's where we need to build the successful use cases that show, hey, look, when we implement flipped learning, when we bring AI simulations to that learning experience, this is the improvement in proficiency, in performance, in building confidence, in retaining those individuals in that role.
Interesting. Is time to effectiveness, is that some metric, something like, time to perform? Is that what you measure?
We call it time or speed to proficiency, an absolutely critical measure in the space of customer experience, right? Some of the variables that are going to impact that are complexity of the work that needs to be done, the scope of the work. So for example, if I'm a customer service agent and all I do all day long is change addresses, change beneficiaries, simple things. And that's the scope that I get. You can train that super fast. But if, I'm more of an Uber agent, right? This concept that I can take any question for a company on any topic with any level of complexity on, interpreting policy, applying complex processes, that can take, historically 3-4 months of training, like full-time training, and then not achieving proficiency, and proficiency being defined by performance across various metrics
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
So when you start to implement changes like the ones
Mm-hmm.
that I talked about, not
Mm-hmm.
only can you reduce the time spent
Mm-hmm.
in training, but you
Mm-hmm.
can pretty significantly accelerate
Yeah.
achievement of proficiency. Within our business,
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest variables that impacts, first of all, whether somebody's going to stay in the job,
Yeah.
and then if they're going to, really invest and bring their discretionary effort to the table, is the
Yeah.
duration of that training period. And
Right.
if you just think about it, like if I have to sit in training for 4 months, 8 hours a day, I mean, talking about attention spans at 40 seconds,
Yeah.
that's just like really, really hard to deal with. If I can cut that in half,
Yeah.
if I can even cut it more than that, and I
Yeah.
can let them do some work and build
Yeah.
proficiency and then bring them back to training and build on it, you're going to
Right.
retain that person. They're going to see growth.
Right.
They're going to feel valued for contributing, and
Yeah.
they're going to start to feel like they belong.
Right. Right. Totally makes sense, which is, I mean, the key to empowerment, if I use that word, is it's not really how much you teach them, it's just how deep and how much they absorb and actually apply that. That makes them feel better, and there's more motivation to come back and learn the next thing with more motivation, right?
Yeah.
Because the 40-second number that you told me, that's just incredible. Because of 40 seconds, when you think about it, it's nothing, right? It's a sound bite. Like 40 seconds is nothing.
It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And I sort of joked, like 40 seconds, I feel like I might only have half of that.
Right. Fascinating. Earlier you mentioned the learning experience design model. I just wanted to double click in that. By that, did you mean the curriculum wizard and the design wizard? Is that what you meant under that, or are there other components to the learning experience design model?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is it's an expansion of scope.
Yeah.
And so, traditionally,
Mm.
instructional design was really focused on the curriculum design. So,
Mm.
what does it look like when somebody is in a structured learning experience, which for, most intents
Yeah.
has been with a facilitator, right? Whether it's virtual or in a physical space, that it's that guided instruction. So what we're working on is an expansion of a full end-to-end learning journey that doesn't end until that they've achieved proficiency. So, it's starting with what are the learners coming into the learning environment with from a knowledge and skills perspective, based on the work that they're going to perform and the way that work is measured. What knowledge and skills do we need to help them develop? But then you go beyond that, because there is the formalized instruction piece of that. Once they leave that formalized instruction, what additional experiences do they need on the job? How do they need to be coached? Where is feedback going to come into play? How are we going to measure their progress over time so that, we're understanding, are they sort of on track with the proficiency glide path? Or are they behind, or are they ahead? And what that requires is a more ecosystem view and approach to talent development. So it's going from the formalized instruction to, the levers that we can pull to help people achieve that proficiency overall. That's not an area that most instructional designers have looked at in the past.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, this is more encompassing, more holistic, rather than a very siloed, let me get out this course module out kind of approach that instructional designers usually take. Yeah. Makes sense. So, Julie, you some really impressive use cases being launched, right, under the learning experience design model. You have the curriculum wizard, the design wizard. You have the flipped learning use case here, and you have a lot of solutions for that. Are there other burning problems you wish solutions existed that are in your roadmap out there to focus on in your role?
I would say the solutions
Mm-hmm.
are already out there. The tech providers, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, they're advancing solutions so quickly, and the number
Yeah.
of providers is just proliferating. It is
Mm-hmm.
incredibly hard to keep up. So I talked
Mm-hmm.
about before the prevalence of all of the AI coaches
Mm-hmm.
that are cropping up. And so this is what, my learning science and tech team, they just completed a comprehensive comparison of some of the
Mm-hmm.
top AI coaches. Some we already have within our ecosystem, some that we're looking at and to think about if they're going to add value. And by the
Mm-hmm.
way,
Mm-hmm.
the democratization of
Mm-hmm.
building AI agents, that's
Mm-hmm.
applying everywhere. So, from a tech perspective, a lot of this work is now going to be done in-house by, our own teams
Mm-hmm.
using the technology we already have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, how do leaders make the time
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we've got time to assess and bring in
Mm-hmm.
truly augmentative
Mm-hmm.
solutions
Mm-hmm.
to what we're already building.
Mm-hmm.
So time is the variable that is very, very hard
Mm-hmm.
to control.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would say is, going back to the work ontology, what is super top of mind for me
Mm-hmm.
is, before we can just, hey, we've unleashed AI, everybody go do.
Mm-hmm.
And we expect to see results. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where?
Mm-hmm.
In what roles? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
value add going to come from? What does
Mm-hmm.
that enable? When we automate
Mm-hmm.
work that people are doing today, what do we expect those people to be doing tomorrow? How does it
Mm-hmm.
add more value? There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of talk about upskill and reskill, but
Yeah.
to what?
Right.
What does that look like? How does the
Yeah.
work evolve?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of discussion right now on people managers are
Mm-hmm.
going to become managers of both humans and AI
AI.
agents.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? How
Right.
many can a manager manage?
Mm-hmm.
What does the scope of that work look like? So
Mm-hmm.
that's super top of mind for me, is getting the
Mm-hmm.
time
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we're really focused and not being dragged along behind, but leading out on how do we evolve our
Mm-hmm.
workforce, the work that's being done, so that we can continue to, achieve our purpose, our mission, and deliver extraordinary value.
That's very, very well said, which is, I can see how flooded you must be with the bunch of solutions out there. And there's so much noise out there, and how it's a lot more important for you to start kind of problem first and then see
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the tool is, rather than
yeah.
saying, hey, I have this tool, what can I do with it?
Yeah, 100% right. 100% right. And always starting with the outcome.
Yeah.
How are you going to measure success? How are you going to know if this had any impact? And then all of these things cost money too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where are you going to get the return? How quickly are you going to get the return? And what can you do with that return that will
Yeah.
then let you take the next step?
Makes sense. And since you mentioned money, that kind of leads me to the next question, which is, in this world, how do you see L&D budgets evolving? I mean, there's obviously going to be new monies that are coming from somewhere else. Like, how do you see?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen with L&D money
Yeah. I mean,
budgets?
there's a big question mark on how the L&D role
Yeah.
is going to shift within an organization.
Uh-huh.
Where is the development and management of AI agents going to sit,
Mm,
right? I think most people think that that's going to sit within an IT or tech organization. There's been some
mm,
talk, is that going to become the purview, the training of AI bots in L&D, or is it going to be fully democratized and it's just going to be
right.
done team by team by team?
Hmm.
Um, Based on the business model in the industry,
Hmm.
there's no question in my mind that the work that people do today is going to shift pretty significantly. Some roles more than others.
Yeah.
And so that's why having that roadmap and placing some bets on where you think the work you want humans to do is going to go is really key, because that's your roadmap for where L&D needs to be focusing. Then if you take it specifically into the L&D professionals themselves, there's no question in my mind that there's significant efficiency you can gain from bringing AI in. So, it's going to reduce the manual burden on instructional designers. In the flipped learning model, you're not in classrooms 8 hours a day. LMS reporting, LMS, administration, all of that gets vastly simplified. You don't need as many people to do that. The people that you do need are going to be focused in other areas. So one of the things that we see, and that I started implementing at eBay in the flipped learning model. Let's just think about training customer service agents right now. The model for decades has been, it's technical training. We're teaching them a company's products, their processes, their policies. They call it the triple P. And if there's time, we layer in a little bit of communication, empathy, kind of the soft skills, as it's been called forever, but almost like a nice to have. That totally flips on its head with AI bringing knowledge directly to the agent. You need to have an understanding of product process policy, but that's not where the expertise lies. It lies in that human experience, that connection with the person that you're trying to help. And so, the money skills now are not how quickly can you navigate and find answers in complex knowledge bases, how quickly can you, interpret policy, but how well can I connect? How well can I diffuse a difficult situation, an angry customer? How well can I empathize? How well can I problem solve, innovate, collaborate? These are the skills that become front and center that we focus on developing. And that's a different skill set for facilitators. And it's actually, that's an upskilling requirement. But not everybody's going to want that job. And not everybody's going to be able to become proficient at that job. It also, by the way, changes the job profile of who we're recruiting for and what we're testing them on. And so, that's just one example in addition to the instructional design one on how the work is changing. That's going to change how many facilitators I need and what types of skills they have.
Very, very well articulated, which is, just to make sure I understood right, in the pre-AI era, an agent, his mind is just consumed by all the technical details of the product and the specifications, all of that. Now it's freed up to do do more human stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And it's like many changes, right? Like when I was a kid in school, like there was this whole you can't use calculators on math tests.
Right.
And it's like, well, why not? Right. And by the way, this debate is going on in education, and particularly you hear it talked about a lot in post-secondary education, and kids are cheating, right? Using AI. I have one college kid, soon to have 2 college kids this fall.
Congratulations.
And my son uses it all the time. It's a tool that we need to teach kids how to use. And oh, by the way, instructors, your job is to evolve what you're teaching them. You should be expecting that they're going to use AI, but then where do you advance in what you're teaching them and what their capabilities are? So they're going to use AI as a tool, but then get them to synthesize information, get them to innovate, get them to problem solve. Because by the way, when they go to the workforce, there's an expectation that they already know how to use AI. So it's completely backwards to want to restrict their use. By the way, there's a bit of a double standard going on right now, too, because at the same time that colleges and universities are, sort of talking about how kids can't use it, they're they're promoting and celebrating their instructors who are using AI to do the grading.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, catch up.
Right.
Because you need to deliver students who can already use these tools into the workplace.
True. Yeah, it's almost like Microsoft Excel, literally. I mean, a standard issue in
It
a lot of
totally
college.
is.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your earlier comment about freeing up agents to focus on more humane stuff reminds me of this comment. Somebody told me this last week, which is, I don't want AI to write poetry for me. I want AI to do my dishes so I can focus on writing the poetry.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what, I've been talking about with my teams is, the work that is rife for automating, it's highly structured, it's repeatable, it's well-defined. It's the work that if you were to put on a list, what's the stuff that I hate doing every day because it's just rote and mundane, automate that and get it off your plate. The augmentation then is, how do I leverage AI to actually allow me to speed up what I'm doing to get to a better outcome? To everybody, it's been a common complaint, just like I don't have time to learn. I don't have time to innovate. I don't have time to problem solve with others. I don't have time to focus on strategy. All I can do is the day-to-day tasks to keep the machine running. Well, that's where you use AI to then free you up to do all of that higher order stuff.
Makes sense. And, since we're talking about, colleges and careers, that kind of leads me to my next question, which is, for someone starting off right now with their career straight out of college, two questions. One is just broadly, you've had a fantastic career starting as an instruction designer, leading L&D at tech-forward companies like eBay, at high-velocity companies like TTEC. What broad career advice would you have somebody to start and reach the pinnacle of their field, number one? And number two, in the whole AI-first world, how do they pick up things like, empathy and resolving conflicts? Like, what should they do?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? College kids and just anybody who's graduating high school and are looking at entering the job force, they're entering a very tough market, and this is, broadly being discussed, and you see the reduction in entry level jobs for, the careers that for many years were like the golden ticket, right? Go into computer science, go into engineering, go into finance. You can use AI to do all those entry level jobs now, and companies are, and you're not seeing as many openings for those jobs. They're expecting people to come in who are able to operate at a higher level. And so, part of it is, just asking yourself and exploring, what is the type of work that I want to do? There's a lot of growth in the US, for example, in the trades, right? So you're going to be a plumber, you're going to be an electrician, maybe you're going to do something with your hands. Those roles, typically have really great programs that bring you through, sort of the equivalent of an internship, and help you build your skills and teach you while you are on the job. So I think that, people should really think about those trades, which, at least in the US, we're always sort of thought of as lesser than, but really great careers and opportunity to build your skills if you like working with your hands. If you want to do more of the knowledge work type stuff, you need to be, you need to have some experience with AI. Do it in your studies. Make sure that you are thinking and testing out those ideas broadly, and build as much of a resume of skills and experience as you can. So I'll talk about my son as an example, who is just finishing his sophomore year in college, and is majoring in economics. So he's been working for a long time. He's got 4 years experience in grocery. Started as a cashier. He's worked in various departments. He's been a shift lead. And when he went to go for an internship this year, the internships are just absolutely dwindling. And this is broadly recognized. So we work together to say, build your own internship recommendation with your current company. What problems do you see that you want to solve for that company? What skills and other areas do you want to develop? Because you need to put that on a resume. You need to show, I have thought about my development. I've got skills in all of these different types of activities. I've problem solved in these areas. That shows the capability that you've built in, the term that is being used is durable skills that apply to every single role. And they show the ability to kind of learn and apply. That I think is going to be really, really important. I guess the last thing that I would say is there is no one singular right path. I think people can easily come away with the notion that, well, I need to complete college in this amount of time and in this degree, and then I need to take this step, and then I need to take that step. And if it doesn't look exactly like that, I'm not going to be successful. The truth of the matter is there is no one path. Every path is individual, and you learn something along every single journey. And I believe that people have the potential to do great things, that everybody does. And so to not be worried that you're going to take the wrong step that then is going to stop you, but to be focused on what am I learning along the way and where are the various places it can take me.
Very inspirational, especially the work you're doing with your son. He's very lucky because essentially you're coaching him to be proactively courageous, right? And especially in this whole new world where roles are rapidly evolving. Probably not even his managers know what is a new role, but he as an intern is probably at a very, very good vantage point to figure out what are the problems, where can I contribute?
Yes.
And you might actually unlock something your manager never knew about in the first place.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it'll be fantastic advice for a lot of people if they could actually follow that. Julie, this has been outstanding. Thank you so much. I got a glimpse into the future of what things are going to be, both with your vision and then some splendid use cases you have going on at TTEC. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. The hour just flew by. And so I just wish you the best.